channel, if you've been following my videos, you know that I believe that the worst is ahead of us. You know that I also believe that it will be recognized and self-evident by the end of the year that we've had a collapse in our system. Now, a couple things happened today that I think are being overlooked. Bank stocks in general have been routed. The bank index itself is trading significantly lower. Banks such as Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, all of the big bailed out banks were off about 5 to 6%. Now, it's estimated that there could be as much as $1 trillion of this toxic debt rotting on the books of the banks. Now, that is a huge, gigantic number, and it's a big enough number to cause another systemic crash, and I think that we are going to have it. Now, this is going to pose a liquidity trap for the banks, and it's going to create a situation where these institutions are going to need another bailout. I don't know what form that will come, but it will probably be in another form of TARP or TARP number 2. And the federal government, through the Federal Reserve, will be forced to inject further liquidity into these institutions to keep them afloat. Now, there's a few other things going on in the market right now that are significant and I think are being overlooked by the average investor. First and foremost, the U.S. dollar, since mid-June, has lost about 12.5% of its value compared to a basket of other global currencies. Now, what that means is that for every dollar income that you now earn, you now have only 88 cents worth of purchasing power. And that's a way that the federal government, through people like Ben Bernanke and the Fed, are trying to inflate our country and inflate themselves out of this debt. And the debt load that we've incurred over the past few years, if you keep up with the news, is extraordinary. It's also unsustainable. Now, we are now in a state globally where the world is in a race and at war to devalue their currency base as quickly as possible. Now, we're seeing this across the globe in countries such as Japan. We're doing this here in the United States. The problem is we're winning that war here in the United States, which means that our quality of life is deteriorating and our purchasing power is being taken from us. The only difference is it's being taken under a disguise, with the average American not realizing it. Now, what this means is that for the average John and Jane, your pension or retirement account that you've worked very hard for to accumulate through the years, probably your entire life, will be worth a fraction of what it was today in the future. And it's important that you wake up to that reality now and understand that you should take appropriate action to protect against that devaluation. And at some point, the party will end, and there's going to be a liquidation on a massive scale. Now, the federal government will probably not want that liquidation, but institutional investors will force it. We are very close to this occurring, and I think that today is an early warning signal and sign of what we can expect to come. The last time we had this kind of correlation across all risk assets, it resulted in the May 6 flash crash. And we all know what happened there. We had a 1,000-point decline. Many stocks and exchange-traded funds went to zero in a matter of minutes. And the reaction from the Fed was to inject liquidity. I think that through the big banks, they injected an enormous amount of it to rebound all of these positions and try to explain the anomaly. Well, as we've come to find out, and as I've said before, the flash crash was caused by a legitimate trade. They pinpointed it to a Waddell & Reed trader who'd put a very large sell contract on E-mini futures for the S&P 500, although I don't think that's the whole story. What that tells you is that at any moment of time, when the big boys decide to get out, they will crash this market, and that's exactly what they're going to do. In the meantime, precious metals are going parabolic. Gold is hitting all-time record highs on a daily basis and is defying gravity and expectations. This is another warning signal that the worst is ahead of us and that debasement of fiat currency is occurring rapidly. Food prices are rocketing. commodities at large. Many commodity funds are up 15% just in the last 30 days and have been some of the best performing sectors in the market. I think that we're going to have a food crisis globally. I think commodities will continue to become more expensive, in addition to the fact that there will be continued dollar debasement. Sometimes I feel like I'm watching a fatal car crash in slow motion, and although I know the outcome to it, there's nothing I can do to stop it. Now, the only way I feel that I can do something positive is by trying to share my message with you and trying to share my message with as much people as possible. The only way to